Hello students. Yesterday we have completed all the topics regarding to the chapter semiconductor devices. So today let's see some numerical problem based on that chapter. Means we have studied the topic of semiconductor diode and also about the Zener diode and some special purpose diode. Means simple, if we have to calculate what will be the resistance in case of forward bias, reverse bias, because as I've told you that if in forward bias there is a formation of depletion region, there is a formation of junction barrier. So junction barrier have tendency to oppose the flow of charge carriers. Furthermore, it means that it offers some resistance. So how can we calculate resistance in both forward and reverse bias? So let's see one numerical problem based on that. So the numerical problem is, here is a characteristics given, and in this VI characteristics we have to calculate the resistance of diode in forward bias or in reverse bias, and in forward bias we have to calculate it at ID equal to 15 milliampere, and in reverse bias we have to calculate it VD equal to minus 10 volt. Means in reverse bias at this voltage what will be the resistance, and in forward bias at this current what will be the resistance, we have to calculate it. So how can we derive it? First of all, in case of forward bias, as we see that after after certain voltage we see that the curve has a linear increment. Means it has a linear picture of the between V and I, means it obeys Ohm's law here. So if it obeys Ohm's law, then with the help of its slope we can determine what will be the resistance in forward bias. So as you are seeing that we have to calculate this in the region of linear region of the curve. So that's why we can easily calculate it by calculating the slope of this curve, means slope of this linear curve. So let's see how can we solve this problem. So first case, in forward bias, as it is given that at 20 milliampere the voltage is 0.8. Suppose that we have taken it V1, that is given 0.8, and at V1 I equal to, the I1 is 20 milliampere volt. Clear? And at 10 milliampere it is given that the voltage is here 0.7 volt. So suppose that this is V2, this is 0.7 volt, and I2 that is 10 milliampere. So we have two values, different values, and we are seeing that this curve from here to here means this is a linear curve. So if this curve is linear, then definitely it will follow the Ohm's law. So by calculating its slope, we can easily find out what will be the resistance. So what will be the slope in this condition? So resistance in forward bias, that will be equal to delta B upon delta I. Simple. We can calculate slope by taking two values, difference between two values at y-axis and difference of two values at x-axis. So at y-axis the at x-axis the value is simple 0.8 minus 0.7, and this one will have the value is delta I equal to 20 minus 10 milliampere. It means that we can write here 10 power minus 3. Clear? So after solving this equation, we will get RF equal to 0.1 upon 10 into 10 power minus 3. So after solving all this portion, we will get here the value of it is 10 ohm. So you can easily solve it. So that's value will be 10 ohm. Okay. So this is the resistance in the case of forward bias. And in case of reverse bias, as the curve has not any linear value, it is increasing. So that's why here, it is constant, looking that this current is constant at this voltage, means for the curve here the resistance will be also constant, because voltage and voltage is increasing, and suppose that here current is constant actually. So if current is constant, then according to Ohm's law V equal to IR, we can say that if voltage is increasing, then according to that R must increasing. So we can find out easily with the help of this formula what will be the reverse resistance. Means in second case at minus 10 volt, what will be the resistance? That will be simple V by I. So what is the V? That is 10 volt, and what is I? That is 1 microampere, means 10 power minus 6. So after solving this portion, we can get this value will be 10 power 7 ohm. So from calculation we can also understand that in reverse bias there is a large resistance offered by the diode. So that's why in reverse bias we don't get initially any sufficient amount of current which we can use in any devices. So I think this numerical problem is now clear to you. So if this is clear to you, then in next numerical problem, suppose that if we have some circuits in which we have used PN junction diode or other diodes, then how can we calculate what will be the amount of current that will be flowing in the circuit? So we can calculate that also. So let's see some numerical problem based on that. So this is the second problem which is related to the current flow in the circuit if any diode is used. Suppose that here a circuit in which we have used a diode and resistors and two supply 4 volt and 6 volt. So we have to find the current to the resistor R if first R equal to 10 ohm and R equal to 20 ohm. Okay. So we have to calculate the current flow in this resistance. So as we are seeing that this diode is connected by the 6 volt EMF in the reverse bias. As we are seeing that P is connected to negative, so that's why we can say that simply, and this is connected to positive, means diode is in reverse bias. And also if diode is in reverse bias, then diode will not conduct. So if diode will not conduct, then definitely here no current will be absorbed through the diode here. So in this circuit current will be 0. So if current will be 0, then here we can eliminate this portion now. So we will have only this portion. Clear thing? So if we have only that portion, so we can calculate easily what will be the current in resistance R. As these two sources are in series, we can easily, and these two resistances are in series also. So what will be the final current? So simple final current is I equal to, since they are in series, 6 plus 4 V by R, and R will be 10 plus R. Clear, I think. So our problem was that only the diode, and since the diode is connected in reverse bias, then we can means the current through the diode will be 0. So that's why this will be series. So we what will be the current in that? Finally the sum of sources upon sum of resistances. So first case was that R equal to 10 ohm. So for R equal to 10 ohm, current will be simple, you can write 10 upon 10 plus R, means 10 upon 10 plus 10, that is 20. So 1 by 2, or you can say that 0.5 ampere. Clear? In the same manner, for R equal to 20 ohm, we can calculate it. So what will be for R equal to 20, I will be 10 upon 20 plus 10, that will be 40. So 1 by 3 ampere. So this is the result of the this problem. Means we have to see in the problem always then diode is connected in forward bias or diode is connected in reverse bias. After that we have to solve our problem. So I think this problem is also now clear to you. So if this problem is clear to you, then let's see some problem regarding to the emission of radiation. As I told you the example in case of LED and other things, means uh, because in every atom there is a band gap. If any electron jumps to the vacancy or to occupy the position of hole, then definitely there will be some radiation will emit. So or simple one more thing is that if some radiation will fall on the semiconductor surface then or junction, then there can be emission of electron takes place. As you know that the case of photoelectric emission. So we can also calculate means there are some problems regarding to that also. So let's see one problem based on that. So the next numerical problem is related to the problem of incidence of light. Means as you know that if we incident light of some frequency on the metal surface, then there will be emission of electrons takes place. But as you know that for every wavelength or for every frequency there is not emission of electron takes place, as you have already studied that in the case of photoelectric emission. So here the question regarding to that, a PN junction is fabricated from a semiconductor with a band gap of 3 electron volt. Means suppose that we have a semiconductor material in which the energy between any two band or any two orbit, that is the 3 electron volt. So it means that if any electron want to jump from higher, means if any electron will jump from higher to lower, then it will emit energy 3 electron volt. Or simple, if any electron have to go to in excited state, then minimum energy it required, that is 3 electron volt. I think that is clear to you, and that energy is known as also band gap energy. So band gap energy is given. So can it detect a wavelength of 600 nanometer or 400 nanometer? Means we have two wavelengths, these two wavelengths, and we have to calculate whether these wavelengths will be useful for excitation of electron or not. So we can calculate it very easily. So first we have to calculate that how much energy this wavelength possesses, means light will possess for this wavelength. So we can calculate it very easy manner. With the help of Planck's law we can easily calculate it. The first thing, for lambda equal to 600 nanometer. So as you know that the band gap, this energy is equal to h nu, or simple if you convert nu in form of lambda, then that will be SC by lambda. Clear? So this form will be in the in joule. So to convert it into electron volt, let's divide it by charge of electron. So what will be the final value? That will be 6.6 into 10 power minus 34 into 3 into 10 to the power 8 divided by lambda is 6 nanometer, then 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. This one is will be converted into electron volt. So after solving this you will get 2.06 electron volt. You can solve it easily, calculate it, and that's this value will become this way. So as we are seeing that this value is less than 3.2 electron volt, it means that simple E, this, suppose that this is only E, this E is less than Eg. So as you know that if any light which have energy less than this band gap energy, that cannot excite this electron into this orbit. Means simple is that here no detection of current will takes place. Means here no electron will emit or no energy will appear, because the energy of the light is not sufficient to cause any impact in that portion. So that's why for this no detection will take place. So let's see the detection in case of second situation. I think this is simple, clear to you. It's very clear that if any light has energy greater, equal or greater than the band gap energy, then it will cause the excitation effect in that. But means we can detect it. But if light has energy less than the band gap, then we cannot detect it. So in this, for 600 nanometer we cannot detect any current. And the second case is that here we have to keep 400 nanometer, right? Means let's see, for 400 nanometer wavelength of light, can we detect any current or not? So here the formula will be same also, only the wavelength will be changed. Here 400 nanometer will be, and after solving this we will get the value. You can easily calculate it. That value will be equal to 3.1 electron volt. You can calculate it and obtain it. So as you are seeing that this 3.1 electron volt is greater than 3 electron volt, it means that this energy is greater than the band gap energy. So if energy is greater than band gap energy, then it can easily send any electron, or it can easily excite any electron from valence to conduction band. So that's why here we will detect some current. So in this way, condition, yes, we can detect some current. So I think the problem is simple, clear to you. Means if any electron or a current we have to detect by the incidence of radiation, then it must have some sufficient energy, and that energy will be equal or greater than the band gap energy. So and if it has below the band gap energy, then we cannot detect any electron in the circuit. So I think the problem is clear to you. So if this problem is clear to you, then let's see some other numerical problem related to these topics, means related to the topics of diode. So let's see that. So the next problem is related to half wave rectifier, and I have told you the case of rectifier in which we rectify any AC signal, means we can convert AC to DC signal. So if we are converting that, then we can find out what will be the efficiency of rectifier, means how much amount of input signal it can convert into the output signal, and also how much power it is utilized in the case of rectifier. So based on that, here one problem we have, that is the applied input AC to a half wave rectifier is 120 watt. So the DC output power is given, that is 50 watt. So what is the rectification efficiency and power efficiency? Don't think it that rectification efficiency and power efficiency both are same. Both are different. Let's see what is the formula for them and how can we calculate them. So the rectification efficiency is given by DC output power to AC input power into 100. So what is the efficiency of any rectifier? That is the output obtained upon the input given to it, means output upon input into 100, simple. So as we have DC output power, that is 50 watt, and AC input power, that is given 120 watt, and after solving this we can get that value will come 41.67%. Means simple, in this system, if 50 watt output power is obtained by half wave rectifier, then means the rectifier has rectified 41.6% of the signal of AC. Means it converted only the 41.67% signal. Means nearly the others near about 59% signal has been lost here. So I think that is clear to you what is the rectification efficiency. So what is power efficiency? See that. So power efficiency is given by DC output power to the AC input power for half cycle into 100. The difference in power and rectification efficiency is that because here only for half cycle of and half wave rectifier, only for half cycle of the signal we obtain the output power. So that's why if we have to calculate power efficiency, then we have to take the input AC signal for only half cycle, because half of the cycle we are not using to convert. So that's why to determine, to calculate power efficiency, this factor you must have to keep in your mind. Here if that will be the case of full wave rectifier, then we will take simple AC input power, because we use both of the cycle in the conversion of DC. Means in full wave, as you know that for both cycle we got the DC signal. So in that case that will not be for half cycle, that will be for the full cycle. But in case of half wave, the difference here is that is AC input power should be taken in the half wave. So in the case of half wave, what will be, so we have DC output power, that is 50 watt, and we have AC input power, that is 120, and for the full cycle, then for half cycle that will be 120 by 2 into 100. So I think that is clear to you. So according to that, if we, after solving this, we will get the value 83.33%. So it means that the power efficiency in half wave rectifier increases, means we get more output power, means 83% power in the output, means it for half wave half cycle of the wave, 83% power is obtained in the output, but means nearly 17% power is lost in that circuit. So I think the power efficiency and rectification efficiency is clear to you by this numerical problem. So the next problem is related to also the depletion region problem. As I've told you about the depletion region, that if ions are accumulated at any region, then we can consider that the region are just like the two plates, and on which some positive and negative charges are accumulated. So due to their accumulation, there will be a potential developed in the junction, and that potential is known as junction potential. And also if there is junction potential and some space region, then definitely there will be electric field in that, or electric field intensity in that region. So this problem is related to that. The problem we have that is a potential barrier of 0.7 volt exists across a PN junction. Means the potential junction potential is given here, and if the depletion region width is this, means we have the depletion region width, then we have to find the intensity of electric field in that region. So first let us write what we have. So we have barrier potential, that is 0.7 volt, and we have depletion region width, suppose that it is D, that is 7 to 10 power minus 7 meter. Clear? Then we have to find out what will be the intensity in that region. So as you know that in the case of electrostatic, the relationship between the distance and the potential, that is electric field, is given by VV by D. Simple. So we can calculate easily by these two values, that is 0.7 volt upon 7 into 10 power minus 7 meter. So after calculating it, we will get 1 into 10 power 6 volt per meter. Clear? So this is the value of electric field intensity in that section. So now what we have, second question in that problem was that actually there was not space, that's why I haven't written that. So the second problem is that suppose that if any electron from N side that is entering, we try to enter in P side, means suppose that the diode is in forward bias, then obviously electron will move towards the junction. So suppose that if it is moving with a velocity 6 into 10 to the power 5 meter per second, then we have to calculate through with means what will be its velocity when it enters in p region. So as I told you that electrons are responsible for the conduction because they occupy the position of the holes. So obviously electron will leave the end region and that will enter in the p region. But before entering in p region, it have to cross the depletion region. So obviously some of its energy, some of its kinetic energy will be used there to overcome that barrier energy. So we can calculate easily with the help of this. Suppose that in p type region it has velocity v2. So its kinetic energy in n type region, that will be half m v1 square. That will be equal to this means junction barrier potential energy. Suppose that is E, or simple and plus half m v2 square. Means simple, this kinetic energy will be used in two ways. First, to overcome the junction depletion region, and the rest of the energy will have in the form of kinetic energy, through which means the velocity through which it will enter in the p region. So I think this problem is simply clear to you what we have to do here. So we have it is given that the junction potential, that is 0.7 volt, and v1 we have already, we know the mass of electron, that is 0.1 into 10 power minus 31 and 6 into 10 to the power 5 whole square is equal to this energy. What will be A into V? Clear? Kinetic energy. Here the loss in kinetic energy, that will equal to E into V. So E will be 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 into V is 0.7 plus half. What is the value of M? That is this, and v2 square. So we have all the values and we have a equation, so we can solve it easily, and what we can calculate what will be the value of v2, means through which velocity it will enter in the p type region. So after calculation we can get that value will be 3.4 into 10 to the power 5 meter per second. So you can calculate it by this formula, and after calculating this the value will be reached. Means obviously if any electron is leaving its n region, then it have to overcome some means it have to overcome the junction barrier, because the barrier have tendency to resist the flow of electrons. So obviously if it will resist the flow of electron, motion of electron, then definitely its kinetic energy will be less when it enter in p type region, because some of the kinetic energy will be used to overcome that resistance of the depletion region. So this problem, I think the way of the problems which you can means which will you have to solve, that can be like in this way. Means there can be a lot of problems related to depletion region, diode, rectifier and other things. So I think the 5 different problems I have told you, that all clear to you, and you can solve more problems based on these topics. So if I think all the numerical problems regarding to PN junction diode is clear to you. Simple, we have to keep the conceptual phenomena in our mind, and with the help of concept we can easily solve what will be the what means in numerical what is given. First see that, and what it want to then that see. So this is the way to solve the numerical. I think you can solve it easily. So one more problem is here regarding to the forward and reverse biasing of PN junction diode. So here 4 figures I have given to you. First is that diode is connected in this way. Diode is connected means if different voltage and connections we have, then how can you identify whether the diode is in reverse bias or forward bias? So in case A, let's see that. So as P is connected to earthing means negative, and N is connected to positive, then obviously if P is connected to negative, N is connected to positive, then that is the case of reverse bias. So this is in reverse bias. Clear? In case B, as N is connected to 5 volt and P is connected to 10 volt, then we can compare which voltage is greater than, because we can compare when we have see that here the plus 5 volt is greater, because here the positive charge is greater, then we can say that this P terminal has more positive charge in comparison to this. So obviously we can say that this is positive, and with respect to this it is negative. So if N is connected to negative and P is connected to positive, then that is the case of forward bias. So here the difficulty can be for you that always there cannot be voltage in the negative or positive form. Sometimes we have to see the respective value, we have to see the comparative value, and we have to compare this. So as you are seeing that here P type material has more positive value than the this value, so that's why that this will be in forward bias. Clear? So the third case is the let's see the case of C, in which portion this P is connected to minus 10 volt and connected to earthing. So here the obviously voltage is less than this point, means here the it is less negative than this point, because here the it will be 0. So obviously we can say that P is connected to positive with respect to N is connected to positive with respect to P, because P is more negative here than the N. So that's why we can say that P is connected to negative, N is connected to positive. It means that this is the case of reverse bias. So you have to actually compare the values, means which is more negative or which is more positive. So that if the value is more positive looking with in comparison to other, then we can compare, we can predict what is whether it is in reverse bias and forward bias, like in this case, and also in this case. In this case here the negative is connected to minus 12 volt, P is connected to minus 5 volt. So as you are seeing that here the less negative value than this value. So obviously if it is more negative in comparison to that, then we can say that this terminal has the positive value in with respect to this. So it means that P is connected to positive, N is connected to negative, then this will be in forward bias. So this is the process to detect whether the diodes are in forward and reverse bias if we have such types of voltages. So don't be confused in these problems. That I think from all these problems and examples that is clear to you. So if this is clear to you, then the numericals regarding to these topics I have explained you. Not all the numericals, but at least that are sufficient to for the practice and guys practice and solve the numericals. So let's end the class here today. Please. Thank you.